debate that we need to undertake, and we are doing so. And we're doing it in a way that the Senate, in my previous experiences, has essentially dealt with legislation. We have brought it to the floor. It has come through the regular process. The committee has held extensive hearings on the issue. There is a national debate going on. We're hearing from our constituents back at home. We are following. I'm not on the committee that has jurisdiction here, but we're following it carefully in terms of what has been presented, the bill that has been drafted, the amendments that have been offered, which ones have succeeded, which ones haven't. This is a major issue which deserves and is getting, unlike most of what has happened here in the last couple of years, is getting a thorough debate with opportunities to offer amendments, with opportunities to work to find ways to address concerns about the current legislation that is before us. And that is why I voted for the motion to proceed. This is an issue that needs to be discussed, and hopefully in a system that we know is broken. I think there's pretty much unanimous consent on the fact that our current immigration system is full of flaws. It has not achieved what was promised when the initial legislation was passed, and it needs to be fixed because the status quo just simply perpetuates and adds to the problem that we have with illegal immigration and all the impact on our country and the distrust of the American people that we're going to come forward with a credible legislation this time to address the real problems. So I'm pleased that we are having this debate. Now, we are a nation of immigrants. It is part of what has defined our country from the very beginning. It's a rich history. While all of those who have come to our shores over the decades may have different stories and a different journey, most share a common goal. They want the opportunity to live in a free society. They want to advance economically. They want to pursue the American dream. They want to provide for their children and their children's children the freedoms and the opportunity that exists in America in a way that exists in very few, if any, other places. The American dream is a reality that is available for people to achieve, given the opportunity and given hard work and success. I'm the son of an immigrant. My mother's family came here to the United States legally in search of a better life and better opportunities, not just for themselves, but for their children and their children's children in generations to follow. What my mother learned and passed down to her children is that with these freedoms granted to us as American citizens come responsibilities. We have the responsibility to cherish and defend our Constitution. We have the responsibility to be engaged citizens in our communities. We have the responsibility to vote and take part in the electoral process. And hopefully people agree that we have the responsibility to come to the aid of our neighbors in need. We have been and hopefully will continue to be a compassionate country, a country that believes all human beings are created equal and that our rights are endowed not by a king, not by a president, not by a government, but by God. In America, it doesn't matter where you come from or what your last name may be. If given the opportunity and the chance, you can succeed. And that's what sets us apart from so many other countries. That is what makes us a shining light, a beacon to the rest of the world. And it is that light that attracts so many to our shores with hopes and dreams of a better future. During my time as ambassador to Germany, Colin Powell, then Secretary of State, made many visits. One of those visits was a stop on the way back from a trip to India. And as we were riding from the airport to his first appointment, he shared with me something that I think pretty much says it all about the world's view of America. We see people holding demonstrations, protests against America for this or that. He said, but you know, as I was traveling in the motorcade down the street, Main Street, there was an Indian citizen there with a huge sign In big bold letters, it said, "Yankee, go home." And in parentheses, right underneath those bold letters, it said, "And please take me with you." I think that little story illustrates how much of the world views America, a place they would like to get to. And so as we address this issue, it's important, I think, that we understand that this country is a magnet. It is a magnet for people to come and fulfill their dreams, to make their lives better and their children's lives better. But if we're a country that cannot have an orderly process of legal immigration, we are going to lose the support of the American people, all of us immigrants at one point, for bringing people into our country if they continue to learn that those who come the right way, the legal way, have to stand in line for 10, 12, 15, 20 years, hoping to win the lottery, hoping to be those select people that are chosen. Those opportunities dwindling simply because we are being overrun through an illegal process. And so that's why it is important that we reform, we address this issue, and we make the necessary reforms. As I said earlier, it's an indisputable fact that our current immigration system has failed. It's failed the citizens of this country, and it's failed those who have been standing in line for years trying to become eligible for immigration through the legal process. Today, we have roughly 11 million undocumented individuals living in our country. Approximately 40% of those who are here illegally arrive legal, on a legal basis for a temporary time. But once having come to our shores, they have kind of melted, absorbed themselves into our citizenship and country and not returned. That is an issue. That is a problem. And this bill addresses that, and we need to address that. We need to have a certified system in place that works, not promises, not words on pieces of paper, but a system that has the credibility to work, that when we grant people temporary status to come here to study, come here to visit, come here to see relatives, come here for whatever reason on a temporary basis, we know who comes in, and we know who goes out, and we know those who stay, and we take action on that. That is simply a logical, legal way of having a system that the American people can trust and believe in. Now, one of the major issues here is our southern border and securing those borders. I had the opportunity to spend 3 days on the border, all the way from the Pacific Ocean, where the borderline hits the Pacific Ocean in Southern California, all the way across the Southern California border and all the way across the Arizona border. And so I had a pretty good look at this. As a ranking member on the Homeland Security Subcommittee of the Appropriations Committee, I wanted to find out how we were spending our money, what kind of success we were having, what the problems were, how we should better address our resources in terms of addressing this problem. And it was instructive, and I urge my colleagues to take the opportunity to do the same. As a result of that, despite efforts to make that border secure, secure is not the right word to define where we are now. So an issue before us is, what do we do to make us more secure in a way that can convince the American people and the people we represent that this time, we have in place a process which will secure that border. We went through this in 1986. Ronald Reagan proposed immigration reform. I voted for it. At the time, we had 3 million illegal immigrants. The promise in that legislation was that we would secure the border. We would solve the problem of illegal immigration. Obviously, we didn't. And today we have 11 million and perhaps counting. Now, it is appropriate, I think, to say the border is more secure than it was then. We have over the years, and particularly in later years here, with the surge of illegal immigrants coming into our country, we've taken significant steps, Border Patrol agents, sophisticated technology, a whole range of things that we have invested. Money we've invested, people we've invested, policies we've invested to make that border more secure. But you can't right now truthfully come down here and say the border is secure, and you can say we're going to make it secure, here's how we're going to do it, but I think we need something that is credible so that the American people simply say, well, how do we believe you're going to be here 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and say, well, I know we told you it was going to be secure, I know we still have a significant problem, but we'll get it better next time. We don't want to repeat that mistake. If that happens again, I think it'll be a long time before we are able to come down with a sensible reform proposal. So clearly there is work to do there, and it's going to be difficult for me to support a bill that doesn't put in place something that is credible relative to our ability to secure that border. We cannot ignore this problem. We can't ignore the fact that people continue to stay in our country illegally or cross our borders illegally. The status quo is not working. It encourages illegal immigrants to come across the border, which is why we need this debate, and why we need reforms to our current broken system, and why we need to assure the American people that we're going to work to repair this broken system. It's critical for our economic growth, it's critical for securing our borders, and it's critical for strengthening our national security. That is why I supported the motion to proceed to this debate on this important issue. Immigration reform needs to take place in an open, fair, and thorough debate with the input of the American people, and I'm certainly hearing from many of them in my state. I do have to say, I have serious concerns with the current text of the legislation that has come out of the Judiciary Committee, and I believe this bill needs to be improved before I could support it. I'm particularly concerned about the focus on improving the border security measures, making sure, as I said, we don't make the same mistakes we made in 1986. We must take steps now to secure it before we consider granting legal status to illegal immigrants. Additionally, I want to work with my colleagues to improve the employer verification program, which I think is essential to dealing with the problem, and also our exit system measures, which I just discussed before, about the people who come legally for a temporary stay, and then we don't know where they are because we don't know that they go back home. So I hope over the days ahead, as we we can live up to our reputation of being the most deliberative body in the world. People say, why don't you get more things done? Well, it's either one of two answers to that. One is we don't bring bills to the floor and offer opportunity to debate in an open way. But the second is that this is exactly what we need to do. And on an issue of this importance, we clearly need this, and I'm pleased that that process is going to go forward here. But let's not rush to a decision. Let's do it right. Let's not stand up and declare that every amendment, if it doesn't fit what the current bill before us addresses, is some poison pill that is simply being offered because members don't want anything to pass. I don't fall in that category. I don't think we should have poison pills either. But a lot of these amendments that I think go to addressing the problem that we face in terms of the inadequacies of the bill before us, a lot of those need fixing, and a lot of those are genuine. And a lot of those are offered by people who would like to get to a credible, workable, necessary immigration reform legislation. But if the sponsors of the bill or the supporters of the bill are simply going to declare every amendment that potentially has the ability to pass as a poison pill, and the only intent of the members offering the amendment is to kill the bill, that's not constructive, and that's not how we should go forward. So, Madam President, let's make sure that what we do delivers on the promises that we are making to secure our borders first, to deal with employee employer verification, the exit strategy, and to provide that important provisions to ensure a legal immigration system that can benefit our country and which is the story of America. I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues to improve this legislation. I would like to see legitimate, real, effective border control, a number of other features, but I'd like to get our system reformed because the current system is not working. Madam President, with that, I yield the floor.